The other option is, of course, if you've got a dual monitor setup, just go ahead and drag that control panel off to your second desktop just to get it out of the way. We're going to work again no later than 20 minutes or 20 minutes after 1 Eastern Time. And then we're going to stick around and I'll be happy to answer questions for you if you have some, but if you've got to roll out right away, by all means, click on File, Exit, Leave Webinar. You're not going to upset me or us about that, okay? Also, Marla is going to be here answering questions for us today. If you have a question, please type it into the questions portion of the control panel there. There's a lot more of you than there are of us or her, so please be patient. She will eventually get to your question. Even if it is to say, hey, we need more information, call support. Okay, it's not that we don't want to answer your question, it's just frequently we don't have enough information or we need more information in order to be able to respond to that intelligently. And so, please, if she does advise you to call support, please do so. I mean, we realize that callback times are a little bit longer than normal, but and we apologize for that, but we're trying our best and we will eventually get to you to answer questions that you have. Also, of course, just as a reminder, as we always do, we're going to click on open up our web browser here. We're going to go down the left side to under our support section. Let me introduce my highlighter friend here. Right over here under Church Windows Support, we've got the option labeled Support Blog. If you've never looked at the Church Windows Support blog before, we would strongly, if it would help if I would click the right one, Support Blog. Very helpful and useful place on the website that allows you to search for specific topics. Again, with the inordinate amount of times callback times on our support calls right now, you may be able to find your answer there before one of our technicians can get back to you. So please learn to use the Church Windows or learn to go back to that support blog. It's constantly being updated and enhanced. And so we're continually adding things to it. Finally, don't forget we've got our new online videos over here under training on the right side. Again, a database that is constantly being added and changed that includes movies based on a subscription basis that you can access to help you and your other Church Windows users get up to speed for Church Windows. All right, so enough about that stuff. Let's talk about our version 17 accounting enhancements. And there are a number of them. Some are pretty apparent, some aren't quite so much. But there are some really, I think, useful and helpful features in the new version here as far as accounting is concerned. And we're going to start right at the edge. Let me see. I wanted to check this before. Either in your CD that came with you, there was a What's New document that came with that. So that's where I'm taking all of this information from, primarily in terms of that information. I want to say, well, I'm not going to waste time on that. So you look at the document that came with the CD, as that's the information, that's the location where I'm taking essentially all of what I'm showing you here today. Okay, so the first thing there on that document is the ability to correct a donation transaction in accounting when the giver is not changed. That's a biggie. So under here we are in accounting. We go up to transactions and browse. We go to filter and sort. I've got some giving in here, say for yesterday's date, October 19th. When I click OK on that, here's my donation transactions. Okay. Before, when we wanted to correct a donation transaction that involved like changing one of the accounts that it was posting to, it would tell us that we'd have to correct that over in donations. Okay, so now here in accounting, we could correct what we could correct in before in earlier versions was when we clicked correct, it would allow us to say edit comments and comments only, nothing more with regards to the entry. Now when I highlight a particular part of the transaction for a batch and I click on correct, the first thing it pops up and says, do I want to correct the transaction comments or do I want to change accounting accounts, essentially reverse and retransfer? And so that's the big change, is the reverse and retransfer. So when we click OK, it's gives us very similar options to what we're normally used to seeing in accounting, where it says, do we want it to be corrected as of the original date of the entry, which in this case is October 19th, or there are other options that ask me, do I want to reverse it as of another day, or today's date or another date, and it still allows me to enter transaction comments. 99% of the time, folks, if not more. I mean, I'm not even sure I can think of a situation where maybe that would want to, we would want to correct those with a date other than the original date of the donations, especially when it comes to reporting. So, simply it would say from date occurred from original transaction. I mean, that's generally what I advise my users. It's rare that I advise them otherwise. And then we simply click OK, and it says permanently reverse 171. Okay, we say yes to that. Then it says it's been reversed by transaction number 180. It then opens up my transfer donations to accounting. Over here now is where I can go, oh, okay, I want to change my, building fund contributions over here for, say maintenance from my building fund contributions over to something else. Maintenance, say we're going to change it to technology income. And then I can go ahead and post it over like I would normally. Okay. So before, it would require that we go over and we make the correction. I mean, that's allowing us to change it where there's no impact in terms of the giver itself. I didn't change anything with regards to the giver or the giving account. All I was saying is that I wanted it to go to a different account in accounting, and so it allowed me to start that process in the accounting module itself. So in any case, that's a real time saver and a real step forward, especially with regards to permissions and things in Church Windows. You don't have to wait for your donation person to come in and make some corrections if you don't have permissions to get in there. You do have the ability to edit those transactions in accounting. Good, so that's again a very helpful feature. Okay. This second one here on the sheet, added the utility to delete unused accounts and accounting years with no transactions. Okay. This is really big. I mean, this has, I think, been really a badly needed feature in the software for some time. If we now go back to our main accounting screen and we go up to special functions at the top, manage years, notice at the bottom of this submenu we have two options. One labeled delete unused accounts, which you've been able to do in the system now, just this is a little more apparent. But then also the delete accounting years. So here it's saying delete unused accounts. So if we click on that, it says, it's really important, and I always recommend doing this, is that you make a point of reading this documentation that appears right at the top of here. Choosing from the accounts below, choose from the accounts below for accounts to be eligible for deletion. Simply what the system is telling us there is that as long as the accounts meet the criteria where deletion is permissible, no beginning balances, no balance to worry about, no current year transactions, etc., it can be deleted. You can go down the list down the left side here and randomly select them, okay? Or you do have a check all down here at the bottom and delete selected accounts. Very important here as part of this feature is where it says ledger accounts or fund balance accounts that have sub-accounts, income, or expenses connected to them may not be deleted. Okay, you may have to go in and relink the income and expense accounts if you still want those over to another fund or delete those before it will permit you to delete the bottom line fund balance itself. Okay. And notice it says here finally, if cleaning up more than 1 year, work from most current year backwards. The system has always permitted us to go in and delete accounts on an annual basis. I call it annual chart of accounts maintenance. Delete accounts we no longer want, adding those that we do. But that's a very little known or unknown, little known fact by folks is that you've always had the ability to delete any unwanted accounts. It's the year-end procedure that separates one chart of accounts from the next. And so it's what allows us to go in and basically do cleanup every single year. Okay, so if your church hasn't done that, then it's probably badly needed, and you can start now, okay, if you need to do that. Okay, this is just one way to do it. You can also go up to, let's say, manage accounts up here, accounts plus minus, choose, say, income accounts or expenses. We choose a particular fund, and you've always had the ability to click the delete button here down the left-hand side. Okay, the delete unused accounts function, though, basically shows all of the accounts that can be deleted in one one location as opposed to going to each one of your account types separately. The biggie I think here is the delete accounting years. Yeah, again, I think that just as a reminder that the delete unused, sorry folks, I clicked on the wrong thing. Under manage years, delete unused accounts, that's what this section is, that's what again what that final section was here. If cleaning up more than 1 year, work from current year backwards. So these are just the current year's accounts. If you want to delete 2013 accounts, you would have to go into that year and actually work, and like it says, work your way backwards. So you'd have to go back year by year to delete those. Each year's chart of accounts is completely separate from other years' charts of accounts. Okay, so deleting the accounts in 2015 does not affect prior years. All right. Manage years, delete accounting year. Similar type function where basically, well, the first thing as I was sort of developing this material for the webinar today was what to discuss first. Well, first of all, the little help question mark there. If you click on that, make a point of reading this because this tells you everything about the conditions under which years under accounting can be deleted. The most important one I think that's important to point out is the one that talks about accounting years 8 or more years old may be deleted. So if you, it will not let you delete back more than 8 years. Newer than 8 years, excuse me. So here under our list we clearly see that we have an option for 2 years here. 2006, which is 8 years ago or 9 years ago, and then 2015, which we set up erroneously. I mean, I know some of you may have already set that up, that's fine, okay? But that's what that question mark points out is future years that do not have transactions can be deleted, future accounting years cannot be deleted if a year following that year has transactions. So if I were to have set up 2016 by mistake and posted something to it, I would be stuck with 2015, okay? Simply, it won't show them in the list here if they're not eligible for deletion. It's that simple. It's as easy as clicking on, say, 2006. It says years that will be deleted. You might want to make a backup before you do this. Click delete years. Make a backup of your data before deleting. If you've not made a backup, click no. So there it is again, folks. So backup, backup, and backup again. So we click yes. Boom, that year is deleted. I can do the same thing for 2015. Again, if there were transactions posted to it, I would not be able to delete it, and it would not even appear in the list. Click delete. Again, reminding me to back up, click yes. Gone. Okay? So for those of you that have had church windows for 15, 20 years, I mean, this is our way of being able to purge out old unwanted accounting years, okay? So definitely make sure you make a backup, put it in a unique place, because once it's gone, okay? It's deleted. There's no record of it in church windows whatsoever, and we notice here there's nothing else. The screen is no longer live. There's no other years that the system will let us delete. Also, under our transactions, other, adjust asset, that if I post an adjust asset transaction, choosing a giving account or income account of some kind here. Let's choose an income account. General tithes and offerings. Retyping in my $10. Click post. It opens up the option now to ask us if we want to print the list of transactions we've entered at the time of the adjust asset transaction. So just like always, if we click yes on that, it opens up our print journal entry transaction screen. Good. Also, big wow here under pay bills. If we now go up to quick pay, view vendor or view outstanding bills, say for example, let's do, sorry I meant to do that, I thought I'd prepared better for this. Pay bills entered today. Here's all of my bills that I posted at the computer on October 20th. So here, if I go, okay, I've got my 2 bills to Ameritech, one for my telephone bill and my internet fee. Notice over here on the far right side, I do have the column labeled separate payment. So if I want to print 2 separate checks to Ameritech, I can simply check the invoices I'm wanting to pay, check the separate payments. Again, assuming I'm choosing computer checks, it will allow me then to put both of those checks in the queue. Okay. I can do the same thing for some, another vendor like Columbia Gas for my gas bill. Okay, and if I do now post and print checks, totals my transactions, no to print. And here we have 2 different checks to Ameritech, 2 different checks to Columbia Gas. Okay, very, very helpful, big time saver, something which we've desperately needed in the program. But those have to be posted as separate bills. It won't allow us to do it if they're just one bill. You can certainly go in and manipulate the amount to pay on those transactions if they're posted as single bill, but the only reason why I could do that is because they were posted as separate bills initially. Okay. And second, or the fifth and sixth items here, and then we're almost literally wrapped up here with our 20 minutes. To add an account to a subtotal when creating new accounts. So if we go up to manage accounts, accounts plus minus, let's say I've, here I choose my general operating fund, I call this miscellaneous income. If I could type today, and right here, FYI, just if you're having trouble seeing it, right here to the right of the account number, notice we see the menu called Subtotal. So right there, I can say, okay, my miscellaneous expense belongs in which one of my expense subtotals. So I can maybe, if it's miscellaneous, maybe my treasurer says, hey, let's just put that into administration expense. So I can just go into total administration, click add account. And now when I go into my, say, treasurer's report, and I find my new section on there, my section called total administration. Let me get rid of my drawings here. And I include accounts with 0 balance because I don't have any activity in that account. Now when I go down to my expense accounts, total administration, there's my miscellaneous income account 5770000. So that allows us to, we get a lot of support calls about, hey, I've added my new accounts to my, to my chart of accounts, and yet it's not showing in the proper place on the treasurer's report or on my reports. You can now link that or add that to move it into its proper subtotal at the time you add the account. Asked if separate payment option can work for EFTs as well as checks. Yeah, I mean, I'm 95% sure, admittedly, that I'm not completely sure about it, but that we can do that as long as the payment method is the same. So let's say here I've got my 2 Ameritech bills from December 31st of 13. Click Create Payments, EFT. Check them both. As long as they're as long as the payment methods are the same for both, I'm quite sure that those will work. Yeah. So here I've just changed EFT for those, leaving these other invoices as outstanding, and simply click on Post. Good question. Finally, with about a minute left, the last thing I want to discuss is our ability to create a new accounts receivable client during the collection process. So under accounts receivable, under invoice accounts receivable, we've had this little plus sign here in order to be able to add receivable clients during the invoicing process, but we've never had that ability to be able to do that during the collection process. So here, if we close out and go to accounts receivable collect, and then right here at the top right here, again, we see the little plus sign right there to the left of the, or right of the clear out box. And then, so what that allows us to do is when we, if I could get rid of my drawing tool here, click on the plus sign, allows me to open up and enter a new accounts receivable client account. That's it, folks. Alrighty, it's 20 minutes after. That's all I got. I appreciate it. I've already been pushing the limit there on that, so I'm done. So we're here to answer questions, definitely, if necessary or if possible. Let me see what else I can find here. It looks like Marla's managed to get to those pretty well. But by all means, if you've got to go up to your File menu, choose Exit, Leave Webinar, and thank you so much so much for attending. We're hoping these are helpful. The general feedback from users and attendees is that they're being very helpful. So thank you so much. All right, I'm going to stick around here and see if some folks are typing in some questions. I won't take too terribly long, though. Looks like we got a lot of folks rolling out. All right, well, it looks like we've got if your accounts payable liability numbers, if your accounts payable have liability numbers, can we print them alphabetically in alphabetical listing? I mean, I think you can do that. I guess I'm not understanding necessarily the entire question, Robin, because accounts payable is a ledger with sub-accounts that don't have numbers. I mean, any report, whether it's on separate liabilities, can be listed alphabetically or numerically. You know, so under, say, reports and worksheets, under list chart of accounts, say, sorry, not list chart of accounts, I apologize. Well, you can do list chart of accounts too. So under account, if you remove the account number column, it will print the reports automatically by name. Vendors, okay. So vendors should be listed alphabetically because they don't have numbers. So yeah, if we go back to, say, our list chart of accounts, include accounts with zero balance, click on print. Yeah, all of our accounts payable vendors here are automatically listed alphabetically. Sorry, let me zoom in a little bit here. You bet, absolutely, glad to help. If yours doesn't, please call us. But I don't know how it could sort any other way since there's only the name. All right, good. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the room, folks. Thank you so much for attending. We hope these are helpful. We've got yeah, Leslie, if you would please call support for that. Yeah, just give us a call at 1-800-533-5227 and speak with one of our support technicians. We'll be happy to walk through that with you. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar down. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to hearing from you if you have questions. And we've got another 3 webinars later on this week. A couple of those are the coffee break quick classes, if I'm not mistaken, similar to this. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much. All righty, we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.